I'm Rachel. Standing in the ballroom of the Sinclair Gardens estate, I watch as my so-called father, Henry, crumbles before my eyes. The room is filled with a heavy silence, a stark contrast to the chaos that just erupted when I revealed the truth. Henry is on his knees, his face a mask of disbelief and shame. This moment is the culmination of a long, fought battle, a battle that started 28 years ago. My family is part of the wealthy and influential Blackwood clan in Boston. Henry Blackwood, my supposed father, is a powerful real estate tycoon. He's always been cold, calculating, and obsessed with the family's reputation. My mother, Isabella, is a gentle soul, constantly oppressed by Henry's controlling nature. My brother, Alexander, is 24, the golden child who gets all the love and privilege in the family. And then there's me, with my fair hair and green eyes, standing out like a sore thumb in a family of dark-haired, brown-eyed people. For as long as I can remember, Henry has made cruel jokes about my appearance. At family gatherings or business events, he'd put his arm around me and say to his associates, "Look at her. Too fair to be mine. Must be the postman's." Everyone would force a laugh, but I knew they were all thinking the same thing. I grew up feeling like an outsider, like a mistake in this family. 6 weeks before my wedding to Tom, a kind-hearted contractor, the situation took a turn for the worse. We were having a celebratory dinner at our family's mansion. The room was grand, with high ceilings and a chandelier that cost a fortune. Henry, cutting his steak with precision, suddenly said, "The wedding is getting close." Tom, sitting next to me, responded, "Yes, sir. Rachel has done an amazing job with the planning." Henry then looked up and calmly said, "I cannot, in good conscience, walk you down the aisle and give you away as a Blackwood, unless I'm certain you actually are one." He slid a DNA consent form across the table. "I've arranged for a technician to come tomorrow. If the results show you're mine, I'll pay for the wedding and walk you down the aisle. If not, I won't come, and everyone will know why." I was shocked, but also filled with a cold rage. I looked around the table. Isabella was staring at her plate, silent. Alexander took a long drink of his wine, avoiding my gaze. "Just take the test, Rachel," he said softly. "It's the only way to get some peace." But I wasn't going to let Henry manipulate me. I folded the form and put it in my purse. "Thank you for the reminder, Dad. We should settle this," I said. Henry was taken aback. He thought I'd fight back, but he didn't expect my calm compliance. On the drive back to our apartment in Boston with Tom, I couldn't hold back my anger. "He wants a public trial," I told Tom. "He wants to prove I'm a bastard. Well, I'll give him the truth, and it'll destroy him." I remembered a conversation I had with my grandmother, Eleanor, 3 years ago. She gave me a thick manila envelope with my birth records. "In this family, paper is your only shield," she said. "Keep them safe." At the time, I didn't understand, but now it all made sense. I decided to take the DNA test on my own terms. I chose a top-tier private lab in California, away from Henry's influence. I sent him a legal agreement for a triad test, and, to my surprise, he signed it within minutes. He was so arrogant, thinking he had me cornered. The hardest part was getting Isabella's sample. I drove to the mansion when Henry was at work. Isabella was in the sunroom, arranging flowers with trembling hands. When I explained what I needed, she was terrified. "He'll be so angry if he knows you're here," she whispered. But I reassured her. "He already signed the consent, Mom. We're doing this." She finally agreed, and I took her sample. Back at the apartment, I opened the manila envelope. I found a 9-minute gap between the time on my birth certificate and the nursing log. I started to dig deeper. I found an old news article about a hospital protocol review after an alleged ID mix, up at the St. Mary's Hospital where I was born. I also received a text from Tom about a nurse, Mrs. Thompson, who was the charge nurse on the night I was born. She was terrified when Tom mentioned the hospital. But before hanging up, she said, "If you want to know about the Blackwood baby, ask about the other one." I knew there was another girl out there, a girl who was the real Blackwood daughter. I had to find her. I sent a text to a girl named Lily, who I suspected was the other girl. I told her about the possible mix-up and asked her to look at a picture of Alexander. To my relief, she responded. We had a FaceTime call, and when I saw her face, it was like looking at a ghost of the family I was supposed to have. She had the Blackwood features, the dark hair and brown eyes. While the DNA kit was on its way to Lily, Henry tried to cut me off financially. He froze my credit cards and sent a notice to transfer all my assets to Alexander. But I wasn't going to be intimidated. I told his lawyer that I'd address all financial matters at the engagement party. Eleanor, my grandmother, planned a party at the Sinclair Gardens estate. She invited all the people Henry had copied on his mass email, turning the tables on him. If he didn't show up, he'd look weak. If he did, he'd be walking into a trap. On the night of the party, the atmosphere was electric. The guests were there to see me beg for forgiveness, but they were in for a surprise. Henry arrived late, looking smug and confident. He took the microphone and started his speech, offering me a settlement in exchange for admitting I wasn't a Blackwood. I stepped forward and said, "My father is right about one thing. I'm not a Blackwood, but he's wrong about the rest." I used the projector to show the DNA results, proving that neither Henry nor Isabella was my biological parent. I also showed the nursing log and brought in Mrs. Thompson, who testified about the baby switch. Then I opened the library door and Lily walked out. The resemblance between her and Alexander was striking. Henry's world crumbled. He tried to deny it, but the evidence was overwhelming. Isabella finally found her voice and demanded an apology from Henry for all the years of cruelty. In the end, Henry apologized. The hospital settled the lawsuit, and they overhauled their identification protocol, naming it after the Blackwood and the other family involved. Lily went back to her home, but we're slowly building a relationship. And on my wedding day, Isabella walked me down the aisle. As I stood at the altar with Tom, I realized that family isn't just about blood. It's about the truth and the love that endures.